Welcome back, Hacker. Today we are talking about background images. Last time we talked about images in the image tag. Today we're going to talk about background images. So let's dive right into it with some review first, because I love review. Review is the key to learning. Repetition is key. So first things first is I have up here, I have commons.wikimedia.org, and we're going to review the image tag. So I have typed in skyline, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a skyline image that I like. Now, first thing I want to talk about real quickly is while I'm searching for this, you'll see here that there is this medium. So by default, you're going to see where it's going to be selected as all sizes. I want to talk real quickly about image sizes. So if I select this, here you'll see that I have this image here, and it has down below right here, it has some pixel information. So this image is actually a rather large image. This image is, the width is 20,000 or about 30,000 pixels, and then the height is 7,000 pixels. To put this into perspective, for most websites, you're going to have an image width of about 1,500 pixels. Even that's starting to get a little bit on the higher side. Retina monitors, you might want to have a higher quality image, but this is a really large image. So why does that matter? Well, why that matters is when you try to display this image, it's going to take a long time to load. So we actually want images with a slightly lower pixel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and I'm going to click on medium. And then I'm going to find one of these images here. I kind of like this image. And you'll notice right away that my image size is a lot different. So let's go with this one as well. We have, 1200 and then 800 here. So again, I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. Why not? This looks like it's part of Philadelphia. I am going to select this image. Oops, let me go back. I selected the wrong thing. Let me click on this again. So I'm going to click on, where did my image go? Here. I'm going to select on the PNG. It's going to take me here. I'm going to click on use this file and select the URL. All right, so now back in CodePen. This is some from last time. Let me go ahead and delete this. All right, so for some review, first things first is that we're going to start off by creating an image tag, and then we're going to use the attribute of SRC. SRC equals source. Then we're going to have alt, and remember alt is very important because it describes what the image is. This is going to be a skyline, and then you close this because it is a self-closing tag. We don't have any words inside of it, so we want to go ahead and make sure that we close this using the Matt Damon stop sign. All right, so that is some review. Pretty easy. You probably have this by now. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some background images. So what I mean by background images is I mean the image behind some words that we might have. So in this case, I'm actually going to find a slightly darker image just so we can have an image that's easier to see. And let's go with this image here. Why not? And I grab this image URL. You can use any image you want. Then I'm going to create a section tag. And inside my section, I am going to add a paragraph. Oops, test. Then in here, I am going to select my section and I'm going to set the background to blue. Awesome. Nothing we haven't done before. I'm also going to make this a little bit larger. So I'm saying color of white and a height of, let's say, 300 pixels. Like that. Actually, I'm going to remove this height real quick because I want to show you a demo of something else beforehand. All right, so here we have a background with the color of blue. And you may not know this, but this background is actually shorthand for all sorts of different CSS attributes or properties that we're setting. What do I mean by that? So in the past, I've showed you how to use padding. And I told you that there is a shorthand version and a longhand version. The longhand version is where you go padding top 20 pixels, padding left 20 pixels, padding right 20 pixels, padding bottom 20 pixels. This is one way to set padding for the top, right, bottom, and left. But we can do this by just going like so and using shorthand. Now this is a shorthand version creating the same thing. So again, what's happening is that we have our section. We are setting the 20, and then the system is seeing, is there anything coming up after that? There's not. So it's going to replicate the 20 over to the right, then the bottom, then the left. So that is shorthand. This padding is shorthand for padding left, padding right, padding top. So we are actually using this right now using background. Background for background color is actually could be written like this. We have our background color. And let's make this font size a bit bigger. Another CSS property we can use is background image. And I'm going to say URL. And so this is going to make it so we can input an image to our background. And so I'm going to put quotation marks and I'm going to paste in that image here. So now you can see instantaneously that my background image changed a little bit. Now I want to go ahead and let's make this height like 300 pixels just so we can see more of this image, so we can start to see some information, but we can't see the whole skyline. Which leads us to another background attribute that we can use, which is background size. And I'm going to change this to contain. And actually, let's first go over cover. All right, so here I have a background of cover. And what this is doing is I have my div or my section, and because I have a background size of cover, what it is trying to do is it's trying to take that image and it's trying to make it cover all of this section. And it's actually clipping some of it off down below. So to use a better example of this, I'm actually going to use this image really quick so we can see it. So I'm going to change this background image to be here. And let's see, where is my error? Let's save this. So it actually might be too large. Okay, so let's say we'll change this to contain. What is going on here? Oh, because I used the wrong one. I need to choose this file URL. Silly me. Okay, I will change this to cover. All right, so this is a better example. So as you can see with background size cover, what's happening is that the image is being stretched to cover this whole section here. So it's covering and it's making it large enough to cover this whole container. If I make the size of this width to be, let's say, 200 pixels, let's see what happens. So again, it is taking this image and it's having it cover as much of this div, this section, as possible. Now, if I change this from cover to contain, let's see what happens. So in this case, it is trying to set this image to not exceed, to not go over. So cover went over, this one is containing, so it's pushing it in and it's making it smaller than the parent container, in this case, the section that we have here. You know, these are really hard color combinations to see. But you'll also notice that what's happening is that the image is repeating itself, which leads us to another property, which is background repeat, which we can set to no repeat. So by default, backgrounds have a repeat. There is repeat X and repeat Y. So what it's doing is let's go ahead and show you this. I'm going to make this height really, really large. And I'm going to change this to background size 100%. And let's make this actually smaller. Let's make it 30%. Then I'm going to remove this repeat here. So you'll see that it's repeating both on the x-axis and the y-axis, the left and the right and the up and down. And this we can actually control by having this no repeat, or we can have it set to repeat x, which goes to the left and the right, or repeat y, which goes up and down. Now you also see that I have messed around with this background size. So along with your contain or cover, you can also set a percentage. So it's scaling the percentage of that original image. You can also set this to pixels if you would like, and that will change you can also set the width and the height of the pixels. So first it will be the width and then it will be the height. Same thing here. If I was doing this off of percentages, I can say 30% and 40% or 50%, and it's going to skew the image. Now I don't generally want to skew the images like that, but I just wanted to show you that that is possible. All right. So these are the basics of images. You have background, and you'll notice that I have here as well that this color behind it is blue. I can change this to, let's say, red, and let's see what happens. So first things first is what the div or section is doing is it's loading a red background, and then on top of that it's trying to apply this image. Because this image is a PNG, which remember a benefit of PNG is that you have this transparency behind it. That means that the red goes all the way to the edge of this image here. And my text is on top of it. So if I went ahead here and I said with this section paragraph text align center, you'll see that it aligns center, but then I'd probably want to change this color to be something like black, so it's a little bit easier to read. And there you go. Now, these are some really common properties that you're going to use when you are setting background images. You're going to use the background color, the image, the size, and the repeat. You can also use background position, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change this to no repeat. So if I have background center, let's change this, let's remove this out, let's see what happens. So what's trying to do is it's trying to put the background right in the middle of the div here. So if I have it center, that is going to be from, so I'll say left center. We're aligning it to the left, and then we're trying to center it on the up and down. And this might be, let's go ahead and change this background size to be 30%. So here we can see that we have left and then bottom, so it's putting it in the left bottom of our section. Right bottom, left top, right top, center top, center. So you can control the positioning of the image by using those common words, or you can also be setting it by the pixels. This is going to be a grid starting from the top left. So I have here, it's moving it down. I can also set it to the left and the right. And I can also use percentages. So it'd be a good thing for you to go ahead and play with those and just do what I did. Try to move it around your box or your screen. So all this is to say is that these are a lot of different background properties that you have to write out. But thankfully for us, they have made a shorthand version of this. So let's go ahead and let's delete all of this. So first things first is I'm going to grab this URL so I still have it. Then I'm going to select all of these backgrounds and I'm going to delete it. And I want to show you W3 Schools. So W3 Schools has here, they have, if you search for CSS backgrounds, you'll see that there's a button that says background shorthand. And this is a great way to remind you of the order that you're going to put this information in, because it does matter. So you'll see here that it has background color, background image, background repeat, and background position. Those are the most common ones. Here you can use shorthand and you can compile it down to one line of code. So you have first, you have your color, then you have your URL, then you have your repeat, then you have your position, top left or top right. So here, this is where I was going to say something like this. I would say, all right, so I'm going to have a background. I want a color of blue. Then I'm going to set the URL. In there, I'm going to put in my smiley face. Let's see what happens first. Okay, so it's loading it very big. Then I'm going to say no repeat. Center, center, because I want it to be in the middle. Then what I'll do is I'll say background size, cover. And there you go. So again, you'll notice though that by doing this exercise that it doesn't have all the properties here, right? It doesn't have all the properties. But I could throw in this property actually at the end. Actually, I can't. I lied. So that's the background. That's backgrounds. So what you're going to do is you're going to practice this. The way you're going to practice this is you're going to go to this CodePen challenge. And here's our challenge that we have. So the first things first is you're going to go to the images at commons.wikimedia.org. Then you're going to create 3 sections. And in each section, I want you to add a header, a paragraph, and this is going to be some practice of some other items with a margin of 10 pixels on bottom and 0 for every other. I want you to put an image in that section with a padding of 50 pixels. I want you to change the color of the fonts to the color of your choice. Then using background shorthand, have the background colors for all the sections set to black. In the first section, have the background set to repeat. In the second section, have this background set to cover. In the third section, have the background set to contain. Now, for some of these, you won't be able to see repeat unless you change some of the background size. Or if you choose, you'll have to choose a smaller image. So I hope you found this background image tutorial very helpful. Keep moving forward. Coding is not that hard. You got this, and I will see you in the next lesson.